Hi, I'm Molly, and welcome to the Fine Art of Home podcast. This is episode 1 of Praying for Your Children, even if you don't know how to pray. Because none of us have all the answers, but we have a good God who does. In this journey or set of lessons, we're learning to partner with Him, using His words from the Bible to powerfully pray His blessing, protection, promises, and truths over our children. Today, I will touch on things that we will dig into deeper in later lessons. This first episode is kind of a 10,000-foot view of praying for your children. It's meant to strengthen you, to encourage you, to give you a vision for what this will mean for you and your children. The Fine Art of Home was birthed out of my own journey of rescue, healing, and prayer. I see home, the fine art of home, as a place where you, first of all, abide in relationship with Jesus. And it's also about you and what makes up your beautiful self. It's your family, it's hospitality, and the place that you dwell. In this space, we're learning to build homes on a firm foundation. So when the winds of life come and tear at your house, you have no worry because you are building on a never-changing, always reliable, strong foundation. Our foundation doesn't change if we're having a bad day, if our world is falling apart around us, or we can't see the next step. As wise women, our foundation is not in this world, but in the creator of it. So we're going to talk about the importance of building on the right foundation. Many of us know the story about the wise man who builds his house on the sand and the one who builds on the rock. It's found in the New Testament books Matthew and Luke. In earlier verses, Jesus is talking about some really hard stuff like loving your enemies, bearing fruit that lasts, asking, seeking, knocking, not judging people, choosing the narrow road rather than the one everyone else is on, and other things. He then says that if you do those things, the whole long list of things, you are like a wise man or wise woman who builds her house on the rock. When the rain, wind, and flooding comes, the house will not fall because it's built on the rock, on a firm foundation. He goes on to say that if you don't do those things he mentions, you will be like a fool who builds her house on the sand. The house will not stand under the pressures of life. Let those words sink in. You're a mom. You have a nature to nurture. When I was a kid, the Peace Corps slogan was, "It's the toughest job you'll ever love." Motherhood is like that. Implanted in you is this passion to love, and you love even if it costs you everything. You will stay up all night nursing a fever for a child, and then a few hours later wake up and do your regular life all over again. You'll sit endlessly patient with your child as they learn to read at over and over and over. And even when you're more sick than you've ever been, you continue to do your job as normal. You do hard things. But how is it possible to do all the things Jesus mentions? As moms, we have a list of to-dos that never seem to end. It feels like accomplishing all those things, getting it right feels impossible. Psalm 127 says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain who build it." Imagine for a second that you just built a brand new house. Every aesthetic detail was carefully planned. Great care was put into how your family would use it. The furnishings, the material. This is the place where you will build memories for years to come. When you take a step back and look at all your work, it looks beautiful. But little care was given to the foundation. After all, you can't really see it. And maybe you decided on that nice stove that was a better use of funds than adding footings that go below the frost line. Over time, cracks begin to show up in the drywall. Cement starts to heave. Sure, you could patch that up, so it wasn't visible when your friends came to visit. All they would see were the lovely details. But eventually, one part of the foundation would be so broken that the floors would become uneven and buckle. One section of the house would fall away from the rest. Eventually, the house would be damaged beyond repair. Masking the problem would no longer be possible. Psalm 127 uses language that gets the pressure off us. You can labor working so hard to build this thing, striving to craft a life that you've always dreamed of, hoped for. But if God isn't in it, if He isn't the builder, then much of that work will be fruitless. It might not give you the results that you desire. It's this idea of letting go and letting God, if you've ever heard that phrase. It's about surrendering to the author of your life, the one in whose book are written every day for you, even before one of them came to be. That's from Psalm 139:16. All those things written in Matthew and Luke before the building on the rock and sand parable, they are all possible alongside a loving Father. It's not like Jesus preaches all this pie in the sky stuff and then says, well, you're on your own now. Good luck being perfect. I hope you figure it out. One of the pillars of the fine art of home, or TFAOH, is abiding. I believe abiding is the most important and what this course is leading us into. In my estimation, abiding is the lifestyle of those who love God. It's the lifestyle that will give you the desires of your heart. That is actually written in Psalm 37:4. It won't be work just as it isn't work to want to be with your best friend. It will be respite. But back to the abiding. John 15:5 says, I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me, and I in him, bears much fruit. For without me you can do nothing. Notice it reads, he who abides in me bears much fruit. It doesn't say will produce fruit. That word bear means to carry, to endure, to bring forward. I think of it kind of like this. I can walk this life with my limited knowledge and understanding and surrounded by a broken world and try to make my way alone. I did that. Try to be the best woman, the best wife and mom and employee. Or I can walk this life with the one who knows all things. Bearing here gives this idea of walking along a path, holding Jesus' hand as he guides me, listening as he points things out to me. It's me heeding his warning as he helps me navigate tough spots in the journey, tough relationships. It's allowing him to nourish me with his rest and his kindness and appreciating that he takes burdens from me that are just too heavy for me to bear. My heart is open when he tells me things about me that need a little adjustment, when he helps me process wounds that I need to be set free from, and tickles my ears with his loving thoughts about me. This means bearing or carrying the treasures he's trusted me with and living them out in his ways, the ways he directs. It's valuing the relationship with him in such a way that I see it as the priceless gift it is. Collectively, this journey allows me to bear fruit. Just walking, listening, obeying, and the fruit is his to produce. The treasures are mine to carry. And again, this language is not about me doing more or having to figure it out for myself. It is very much the opposite. To be honest, I have ulterior motives in this journey with you. You see, I was in the spot where I wanted so many things for my life, for my family, for my marriage, but I had no idea how. Most days I didn't know how to get the laundry folded. I knew I needed prayer because every woman who has ever heard of the Bible knows that they probably need to pray. But I didn't know how I could add one more thing to my already full days. I knew I needed to read the Bible, but where do I start? How do I fit that in? But then, as if by accident, I started to write verses on cards and put them around my house. I began reading them as if they were a prayer, with the teeny tiniest faith that reading them while sending up these little prayers would make a difference. I began. And slowly I started declaring them over my family. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't, daily. Sometimes it would be once a week. I was unsure this would even make a difference because I didn't have a reference point to prayer. Honestly, at that time, I loved God, but I didn't know God. 10 years ago, I felt like a mess, and who was God to even listen to me? Over time, the sweetest thing happened. He showed up. I could see him helping me navigate my overwhelming life. He canceled plans which gave me just a little bit of margin in my day to rest or get other things done. He gave me joy and opportunities and ideas to love on my people. And the most treasured gift is he began to show me that he cares about me, that he is head over heels in love with me, that he is so very near to all the parts of my life. And the craziest thing is that he wants to partner with me in the raising of these sweet little humans. I'm not alone. I'm not left to fend for myself. I'm not here to will myself to be better. You are not alone. You are not left to yourself. You are not here to will yourself to be better. You belong. You have a good God who defends you, who makes a way in your life when it seems like there is no way. Jeremiah 29 says, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Close your eyes for a second. Listen to the meaning of the word welfare in the original language. Listen for which definition stands out to you. What ideas come to mind when I read them? Welfare means completeness in number. I feel like some of you, that's number of children. Safety and soundness in body. Welfare, health, and prosperity. Peace, quiet, tranquility, contentment. Peace in friendships, both in human friendships and with God, especially in a covenant relationship, in abiding relationship. Okay, open your eyes. What I'm about to say is not bragging. Please don't read it as that. But I have seen each of those come true in my life since praying and then knowing God. My life's not perfect. Following Jesus is not a guarantee of a perfect life, not at all. But I have seen him craft me into the woman, the mom, the wife I've always wanted to be. What I worked so hard striving to be, but couldn't in my own strength, in my own knowledge, in my own power. I worked so hard to do things right. I desperately wanted to love on my family. That was my heart. But I had wounds, broken views of myself. I thought being an amazing mom and wife was making fresh bread, getting raw milk, making yogurt from it, making 3 batches of kombucha each week for my kids to drink as their pop. Although I didn't set out to homeschool, in fact, thought homeschoolers were weird because who wants to be with their kids all day, every day, for years and years? When I was homeschooling, along the way, I thought that this is what a good mom was, constantly sacrificing. I worked so hard to prove I was something, but in the process, I lost myself. I gave so much of myself that I lost what Molly wanted. My life had morphed into meeting everyone else's needs except mine. And then I lost it. My body fell apart from exhaustion, constant overwhelm, and stress. For 3 months, I was in bed, too weak to do much else except 1 load of laundry and maybe a meal once a day. That season, which was so hard, was also one of my sweetest. I learned to surrender. I'm still learning to surrender, to be clear, but I learned to surrender because what I was doing wasn't working. I'll speak on that healing season another time and the process that I went through. But that surrender began the process of discovering who I was. I fell in love with Jesus, who filled my heart with so much love that it came flowing out to others, to the actual people that I wanted to love the most. And this was ultimately what I really, really wanted. I couldn't have put into words what kind of mom and wife I wanted to be. I just knew I wasn't there. All that work didn't get me what I really desired. Instead, I no longer needed to prove I was something. He told me I was, and he is compelling. He has a way of convincing you. And like layers of an onion, and for the rest of my life, he will continue to heal and refine and define me, lead me, craft me into the woman he desired for me when he first thought of me at the beginning of time. And you know, he often uses relationships to do this, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So my ulterior motive is that prayer is the catalyst that will awaken you to a loving Father. That love will cause you to live free of self-condemnation, free of making yourself weary in serving and striving, free from the fear of rejection. That you will grow to love your beautiful self in light of him. That you'll grow in your emotional health and become spiritually vibrant. And then your kids get to receive the fruit of being raised with God at the foundation of your home, pursuing a relationship with him, and they will never be the same. Maybe you feel like you are constantly repairing the damages in your life to make it all look beautiful, to survive but not thrive. Meanwhile, your foundation crumbles and your life feels out of control. Maybe your life's steady. Maybe you love your life and you think it's a beautiful life, but you just want more. You know that there's more. Maybe you don't have a context to the meaning of letting the Lord build your house. You're not sure it's worth the pursuit. It feels like trying to learn a new language. Well, sister, you are learning a new language. It's one of love and acceptance and approval. It's of peace and joy. It's funny because I titled this Praying for Your Children Even If You Don't Know How to Pray, because if I titled it Praying for Yourself, not many moms would do it. It might feel selfish. If it was praying for your husband, that might have baggage that prevents you from wanting to do that. But your children, you will sacrifice for them. You will show up to these lessons because you want the best for them. But in this journey, it's about you and them and your husband. These lessons won't contain 30 minutes of reading followed by questions to answer. You won't have to remember all the verses. I will give you cards to put around your house. I'm making this super simple and easy. In this journey, we will talk about what makes you qualified to pray such beautifully powerful words over your children. We're going to talk about that there's a battle going on that is trying to take your children out and what you can do about it. You are a strong woman and you have the ability with God to do something powerful about it. We'll talk about how to pray, what to pray, and why. We're going to learn about the sword of the Spirit. Now, we're not talking about Lord of the Rings. It's about the armor we have available as strong women to wield the sword to protect our children. And practically, we're going to talk about how you can make prayer a part of your life even when you have no time. Some of the lessons we will be going over, I'll be going over the meanings of the verses you'll be praying. This will give you more in-depth understanding of the culture of heaven, the culture of God and the richness of His words to help enrich your prayers. I can't wait for you to flood your life with God's own words over you and your family, no matter what you are feeling and experiencing or how much time you have. This is the launching point. This will be the most important thing you do in your life. Take it from me, who's been there, is on the journey, is pursuing this. A strong foundation is vital to the health of your family. Prayer is that foundation. Who's in? If you want to learn more, there's a link in the show notes to learn more and to sign up to get notified when a new episode comes available. All of my courses are available in our hub, and the link is in the show notes. I love you.